There are many different ways of connecting the GT8. This chapter discusses the many different ways and helps you determine the best way to get the most out of your GT8. Connecting to a combo is as simple as plugging a cable from the GT8's left output to the input of your amplifier. Of course, if you have two combos, you can have stereo. You will need to set the amp's EQ and gain to as clean and flat as possible to get the true tone of the GT8. Also, experiment with the different output settings to determine which mode sounds best. If your amplifier has an FX Return, you can plug directly into it instead of the front input. This will bypass the preamp stage of your amp and will generally give you a cleaner sound. Essentially what this does is run your amplifier as a power amp and avoids unnecessary coloration from its tone and preamp section. You may find on some amps that the master volume will cease to function. If this is the case, use the master volume on the back of the GT8 to control the level. The GT8 is great for plugging directly into a mixing desk due to its speaker simulations. In fact, this is generally the method that I use when I play live. This can be done either mono or stereo. Simply run a cable from the left output of the GT8 to the line in of your mixing desk's channel strip. If you want to run in stereo, also run a cable from the right output of the GT8 to another line in of your mixing desk. Make sure you pan channel 1 of the mixing desk hard left and channel 2 of the mixing desk hard right. This will ensure a true stereo signal. If your mixing desk only has XLR inputs, you may need to plug your GT8 into a direct input box, or as it's more commonly referred, a DI, and then a line from the DI to your mixing desk. DIs are sometimes necessary if the mixing desk is a long way from the GT8, for example if you're playing a large venue. A DI box helps maintain a consistent signal that can sometimes be lost through a cable that is run over a large distance. Powered speakers are so called because they have amplifiers built into them. They are perfectly suited to the GT8 because they have no preamp stage that can cause unnecessary coloration in the GT8's tone. Simply run a cable from the GT8's left output to the input on your speaker. Or if you have two speakers, run a second cable from the GT8's right output to your second speaker's input. This will give you awesome stereo sound. I would recommend turning the speakers up to their full line level and use the master output level on the back of the GT8 to adjust your overall volume. Some of you may be familiar with a connection method that has become known as the 4-cable method. So what is the 4-cable method exactly, and what's so good about it? Well, let's say you have an amplifier that you have an awesome preamp tone. Well, by connecting using the 4-cable method, you can integrate this tone with the GT8 instead of using the built-in preamps. Of course, this can be defined independently in each patch. So let's see how it's done. Cable 1 goes from your guitar to the input on the GT8. Cable 2 goes from the GT8's FX Send to the amp's input. Cable 3 goes from the GT8's FX Return to the amp's FX Send. And lastly, cable 4 will go from the GT8's left output to the amp's FX Return. You will need to turn the GT8's effects loop on to be able to hear the amp's tone, and I would recommend that you turn the GT8's preamp off when the loop is on. The effects loop mode would generally be set to normal so that your external amp can be placed where you want within the GT8's series effects chain. One thing to bear in mind is that there are thousands of different amps on the market, and obviously I couldn't possibly set up each one and give you the best settings for each. This is something that you will have to experiment with. Watch this DVD thoroughly as it will help you to get your head around setting up your GT8 and should help you in figuring out the best settings for when using different amps. The GT8 also has a coaxial digital output, which is also known as SPDIF. This is an acronym for Sony Philips Digital Interface. This connection looks almost identical to a regular RCA connection that you find on many home hi-fi systems, except it is capable of sending a stereo 24-bit signal through a single high-quality shielded cable. Digital coaxial cables can be purchased through most electrical and hi-fi stores. The digital cable is ideal for connecting to your computer when recording direct from the GT8. Simply connect one end to your GT8 and the other to the digital input on your sound card. Just bear in mind that not all sound cards will support digital connections. The GT8 has a digital output level control so that you can ensure that your signal doesn't distort or clip. Access it by pressing System and then the right parameter button until you come to the digital out level. Use the value wheel to adjust it. You may have a stomp box or piece of equipment that you want to run in conjunction with the GT8. Here's an example of such a setting, and it's almost identical to the 4-cable method. You simply plug your guitar into the GT8's input and then plug a cable from the GT8's left output, and right output if you want to run in stereo, to your amplifier, mixing desk or powered speakers. Now, cable from the GT8's effects send to the input on the stomp box, and another from the GT8's effects return to the output on the stomp box. Again, you can define whether it is heard in your patch by turning the loop on or off. We'll look at this in more detail in the pedal assignment section of this DVD. When using the GT8, it is very important that you choose the right output setting for your individual setup. The name given to each setting is merely a recommendation and may not necessarily work best for you, so experiment with each one to see which one gives you the overall cleanest tone. You should be striving for a clear sound without added coloration. As you scroll fully right of the output settings, you will come across the global EQ. This is perfect for tailoring your sound to different environments. Your setup may sound different from one club to the next, as it will from one PA to another. It is global, which means that it will affect all of your patches in the same way. So rather than having to go in and change every single patch in the GT8, the global EQ allows you to do them all at once. Think of it as a master EQ. We've looked at the various different ways of connecting the GT8, and a couple of these methods entail the use of the effects loop. The effects loop allows you to connect external devices such as additional stomp boxes or effects units, and you may have noticed that there are 3 modes that can be used, and these are all suitable for different applications. For example, normal makes the loop series, whilst the direct mix is parallel. As an example, I've connected the distortion pedal to the loop and placed it near the head of the effects chain. With the loop mode set to normal, you can hear the level change as I turn the pedal's volume knob. This is because it is affecting everything that is placed after it in the chain of the GT8. Now if I switch the loop to direct mode, even if I turn the pedal's level down, the GT8's signal path is left intact. This is best used if you want to have separate control over the volume of the GT8 and a separate control on your external device. For instance, if you are using a multi-effects rack unit. Lastly, you have the branch out setting. This is handy where you want to use the send jack as an auxiliary output. Say for example, you want to send a dry signal to a separate amp or mixing desk. Then place the loop in the chain at whatever point you want to send the signal. For example, if you want just preamp sent out without delay or reverb, place the loop after the preamp in the chain, with the delay and reverb after the loop. This is ideal if you want to record a dry preamp track but want to monitor with effects, and then you can apply the effects to your recorded track at a later date.